We're thrilled to have welcomed our first grandbaby recently. But growing this precious human hasn't been easy on our daughter. The unrelenting pregnancy fatigue really took it out of her.
One thing that helped was keeping her fluids up, and she loved Rehydrate. Rehydrate is an essential electrolyte drink made by some great guys right here in Brizzy. It's safe during pregnancy and breastfeeding and is like a magical little energy and hydration boost for mum and bub.
If you're growing a little human or are just feeling a little run down, grab some at Coles today.
It's the Happy Families Podcast. Hello and welcome. My name's Dr. Justin Coulson, and this is the podcast that's dedicated to making your family happier. Today it's all about the relationships that we share with our children. We're looking at ways that we can be the best parent possible. We'll discover 5 ideas that I've got that could help us to be absolutely fabulous if we could do it all the time. In 3-Minute Therapy, I'm going to share a question from a mum who sounds like she probably should be the mum of the year. She is being the best parent possible, but she wants to be better. You'll understand what I mean when we get to 3-Minute Therapy. And I've also got a thought for you from a profoundly insightful author that really gets to the heart of what being a parent is all about, especially this idea of perfect parenting. So that's all coming up in the podcast. First though, 60-second psychology. We're looking at something that psychologists call conditional positive regard and how showing conditional positive regard for our kids can impact on their anxiety. We'll find out how in just a sec. In case you've missed it, the way 60-second psychology works is that I tell you all about a study. I've only got 60 seconds to tell you about it before Russell, my producer, buzzes me out with the timer. Why would we do this? Well, apparently I talk too much, and this is the way that Russell gets to keep me on task and on time. So, 60-second psychology, time starts right now. When parents use conditional regard, what they're effectively saying is, listen kids, you'll get my kind, positive attention when you do what I like, but when you don't do what I like, I'm going to ignore you or I'm going to get mad at you. And so when kids are upset or anxious or struggling, some parents will use conditional positive regard to try and condition their children to get over it. It's kind of like tough love. Well, this particular study, conducted by researchers from Ben Gurion University in Israel, looked at how this conditional regard from mums influences teens with anxiety. More than 230 mother-teen pairings were in there. Mums reported use of conditional regard correlated with teens' belief that that's what mums were doing. So the researchers looked at how this conditional regard impacted on anxiety in teens, and they found that teenagers' anxiety was heightened. They felt more stressed, more controlled, more pressured to suppress their anxiety, which unsurprisingly doesn't work very well. Even when mums were trying to be warm in their conditional regard, it impacted on the children. The researchers suggest that adolescents experience more rather than less difficulty. I'm having a hard time finishing this in 60 seconds. That's 3 weeks in a row I haven't made it. Let me finish that sentence. The researchers suggest that adolescents actually experience more rather than less difficulty and anxiety when we're conditional towards them. And so they argue that we should be unconditional in our parenting, unconditional in our regard towards our kids. Conditional positive regard is not a good idea. Our kids need to feel unconditionally loved. That's when they feel secure and safe and anxiety drops. Okay, up next, we're going to take a look at how we can be more unconditional. We'll investigate 5 ways that we can be the best parent that we can be.
Everyone wants their family to be happy, but so much gets in the way. Work stress, commitments, and our children's challenging behaviour are some of the usual suspects. And we can all tidy up our parenting style and get clearer about what will actually make our family happier. 21 Days to a Happier Family is the best-selling parenting book by Dr. Justin Coulson, with answers to both common and complicated parenting problems. Combining cutting-edge scientific insights with real examples of family life in the trenches, you'll find dozens of strategies for making your family happier. 21 Days to a Happier Family. Available online and from booksellers everywhere and at happyfamilies.com.au.
It's the Happy Families Podcast. I'm Dr. Justin Coulson. Thanks for joining in. Think of the times that your parenting has been at its best. Those times when you were unconditionally there for your children and it felt right. Well, when I ask parents to tell me about these times, this is what they usually say to me. You know, I was unconditionally there. I was getting it right when we were having that dinner time conversation, or we were on holidays and we had no agenda, or Weekends at the park or at the beach, playing games in the lounge room, walking and talking, going for a drive, the last 10 minutes each night when I tuck them in and we just chat. It seems that time together, like really focused time, focusing on one another, is the most profound and powerful way for us to build strong relationships and for us to feel like great parents. I don't know of any parent that's ever said to me, Justin, I feel like I was being the best parent I could be when I did that overtime that day. Because I was doing it for the kids. I was getting that extra money for that holiday. We don't feel good when we're staying up late watching movies and then we wake up the next morning and we're lousy, tired, cranky parents. Now, getting some me time or providing for the family is important. That helps us to be good parents. But it seems that time together, has the potential to bring out the best in us and the best in our kids. So let's have a look at 5 ways that we can be better parents and also bring out the best in our kids. The first is using strengths. I'll say it really, really simply. When we use our strengths, we perform well. We feel good. We feel like we're doing what we're supposed to be doing with our lives. And in our parenting, we can use our strengths to be better parents. Similarly, if we can help our kids to use their strengths, they'll be better. They'll feel more engaged with life. They'll feel better about life. We want to cultivate our strengths and our children's strengths to make our families happier and to be better parents. Second idea, be grateful. It's pretty simple. Grateful people are happier. They have better relationships. They're more optimistic. They're even healthier. Whether it's at school or at work or at home, if we're grateful, we do better. So if we want to be the best parents that we can be, let's try being grateful. Grateful for what we've got as parents and grateful for the things that we can do with our kids. Let me give you an example. Last night, as I was tucking in my little 22-month-old baby girl, I looked at her and I was just overcome with how precious she is, how grateful I am for her. And it made me squeeze her that little bit closer and spend that extra couple of minutes with her as she went to bed. It made bedtime nicer. It made her feel safer and more secure. She went down an absolute dream because she felt so safe, I'm guessing. Now, we can express our gratitude to our kids with hugs. We can say thanks. We can drop a note into their lunchbox or under their pillow. What this does is it builds trust in the relationship and it makes us better parents, and it teaches our kids to be grateful as well because we're modeling it. The third thing we can do is to look forward to the future. If you're not looking forward to the future, you're probably not going to be very fun to be around. Now, fair enough, sometimes there are things coming up in the future that are not fun. There are things that we are worried about, things that stress us out, things that make us really, really anxious and worried. But if we can look forward with hope, we will be happier. We'll pass that on to our kids. We'll have an optimistic outlook on life. And the research tells us pretty clearly that optimists have more friends, they have better relationships, and they're happier in life than pessimists. Okay, the fourth thing that we can do is to be mindful. We're simply better parents when we're focused on the here and now, where we are right where our feet are. When our kids want us and we say, I'm listening to you, and we look them in the eyes and pay attention, we're better parents. Be here now. Be mindful. Your stress levels will drop. Your happiness will increase. Your family life will be better. Your kids will feel loved and appreciated. They'll play up less because they know that they've got your attention when they need you. Mindfulness matters. And the fifth and final idea, well, be kind. I don't think there's anything that tells our children that we love them and shows that we're invested in our family, like being kind. If our children make mistakes, when they challenge us, when they disobey us, even when they disappoint us, there are three central choices we can make. Number one, we can get mad. Number two, we can ignore them. Or number three, we can use it as a chance to be kind, to connect, to be closer to them, to teach them to do better next time. It's through kindness that we model exactly the characteristics that we want our kids to become. It's through kindness that we draw our children closer, that we can influence them more. It's through kindness that we become the best parents that we can be. So, 5 things. Use your strengths. Be grateful. Be optimistic and look forward to the future. Be mindful and be kind. Now, you're probably going to fail this afternoon or tomorrow. It happens. If you do, that's fine. Parenting's hard work. But get back on. Try again. Be the best parent you can by doing those 5 things. It'll make a difference. Here's my question for you. When you're trying to make your family happiest, what do you do? to make sure that you're your best for your children? I'd love you to leave your answer at happyfamilies.com.au/podcast/16, as in the number 16. What do you do to make sure that you're at your best for your children? happyfamilies.com.au/podcast/16. Share the news, share the joy. Let's see if we can make other people's families happier. All right, up next, we've got 3-minute therapy and a mum who's feeling stuck, even though I think she's probably doing a pretty amazing job. And maybe she could win the Mother of the Year award.
Family life is pretty tough going sometimes. Most days are a struggle between strong-willed children and frazzled parents. And while no parent wakes up in the morning saying, "Today's the day I'm going to ruin everyone's lives," it sometimes feels like that by the end of the day. 21 Days to a Happier Family is the #1 parenting book by Dr. Justin Coulson for parents who want their kids to be better, themselves to be calmer, and their family to be happier. Now the book is also available as an online video course. In the program, you'll find specific strategies to help you be at your best, evidence-based ideas to strengthen your relationship with your children, research-proven practices to improve understanding between you and your child, discipline strategies that work because they're about discipline and not punishment, and more tips to make your family happier. And as a special offer only for podcast listeners, use the code PODCAST at checkout for a massive $50 saving. 21 Days to a Happier Family, the online video course by Dr. Justin Coulson. Get it now from happyfamilies.com.au.
Here's the email I received from a mum who seems to be doing okay but wants to be doing even better. Hi, Dr. Justin. I love your guidance-based approach to discipline, but I have a 4-year-old who hits and who scratches. He's usually a treasure and we have no problems with him. He's cooperative. He's kind, eager to learn, great to be around. I know I don't need to punish him to teach him, but he's had this hitting, scratching tendency since he was 2. Now he's 4. He only saves it for me and his younger brother. It's usually when he's sick, tired, or feeling vulnerable, so I know he's trying to communicate with me. My family and friends are telling me I need to crack down on him because he's old enough to know better. We talk about superheroes, not hurting people, but looking after people. He likes that. I want to help him, but the more I stay with him, the more he hurts me. Should I walk away? So 3-minute therapy. How do we help this mum who seems to be doing such a great job? Here's what I think. It sounds as though things are mostly on track. Discipline, as this mum said, we'll call her Jenny, as Jenny said, is about teaching your children, not punishing your children. But now and then, when he goes a little bit crazy, teaching isn't working. Now, no child wakes up in the morning thinking, well, who can I hurt today? But sometimes they do get overwhelmed, and I think Jenny's noticing that. So let's have a look at what's been identified. First of all, this little boy is hurting Jenny and hurting his brother when he's sick and tired and vulnerable. So it's good to know these triggers: sick, tired, vulnerable. When he's feeling like that, you can increase your level of attention to him. You can reduce the likelihood that he's going to hurt others. Every parent should remember HALTSS, HALTS, stands for hungry, angry, lonely, tired, stressed, or sick, and explains the main reasons that children and even grown-ups act out in really challenging ways. Now, the second thing with this little boy is that he's not hurting people outside the family. It's only mum and his little brother, which means that he does know what to do. He knows it's not okay to behave like that, and he's probably only doing it at home because he's tired and frustrated and sick and vulnerable, and he actually feels safe enough to know that he can get away with it. So how do we help him to get his frustrations sorted out in positive ways? Here's some solutions. Number 1, I love the idea of talking about him through a superhero lens. It's talking to him like, this is what's interesting to him. He's engaged in it, and he's learning valuable principles in a way that makes sense to him. So this superheroes idea is terrific. Parents of any boy or any girl who likes superheroes should take a leaf out of this book and go with this. Second thing, keep doing what you're doing. Don't listen to people who say you need to crack down on this kid, you need to be punitive, you need to hurt him. Don't do that. It's only going to damage the relationship. He doesn't need punishment. He just needs more teaching. So the third thing, and this is really the crux of it, do you walk away when your kids are being rat bags or being challenging? I shouldn't call them rat bags. When they're being challenging. Well, the answer is yes and no. The next time that this happens, what you want to do is let him know that it's not okay for him to hurt you or his brother. Instead, invite him to talk like you normally would. But if he gets obstinate, if he gets oppositional, if he starts becoming aggressive, let him know, I can see you're upset. Focus on his emotion, show him you understand, say the name of the emotion, and if he responds, great. But if he doesn't, If he's non-responsive, if he's aggressive, tell him, look, I want to help you, but you're not letting me. So I'm going to go and wait in the kitchen or wherever it is that you're going to go, and you can come and talk to me as soon as you calm. Do you want a hug before I go? If he says yes, great. He's probably going to calm down. If he says no, walk away. Before you leave the room, offer one more time. Would you like a hug before I go? He might change his mind. If he doesn't, remind him, okay, I'll be out here when you're ready. As soon as you want to talk, you can come and have a hug and we'll talk about it. Let him know he's not in trouble. Let him know he's not going to be punished. Instead, you're leaving him because he's trying to hurt you. But as soon as he's calm and he doesn't want to hurt you anymore, then you can work through it. I think that this is really the focus here. Other parents focus on doing things to their children as punishment for challenging behaviour. So they hit and they yell and they threaten, they withdraw privileges and they use time out and so on to teach the child a lesson. But all the child learns is that mum or dad is nasty and hurts them and doesn't understand. What we're working for here is rather than doing to, is a working with approach, which means we're trying to problem solve and we're trying to model exactly the respectful behaviour that we want to see in our child. But if he won't work with you, then give him some time and some space, not as punishment, but because he needs to calm down. Okay, that's 3-minute therapy, and I actually almost stuck to time. First time ever. Up next, one of the most awesome statements that I've heard from a parenting expert over the years about perfect parenting, and a reminder about a special discount, only available to podcast listeners for my biggest, coolest program online.
Most children are born curious and confident. They love to explore the world, meet new friends, and try new things. But between the ages of 2 and 12, confidence often drops off. Why? And how can we rebuild it? Creating Confident Kids is an easy-to-read ebook for busy parents, where you'll discover the 5 biggest mistakes most parents make that crush their kids' confidence, and the 5 best confidence boosters for building resilience and well-being in your children. Creating Confident Kids by Dr. Justin Coulson at happyfamilies.com.au.
It's the Happy Families podcast. I'm Dr. Justin Coulson. I came across a quote this week that I just had to share. See, sometimes we get caught up in expecting a lot of our children. We want them to be better. We pounce on them when they get stuff wrong. This is what parenting author L.R. Nost said in The Gentle Parent. Quote, parenting has nothing to do with perfection. Perfection isn't even the goal. Not for us, not for our children. Learning together to live well in an imperfect world, loving each other despite or even because of our imperfections, and growing as humans while we grow our little humans. Those are the goals of gentle parenting. So don't ask yourself at the end of the day if you did everything right. Ask yourself what you learned and how were you loved, how well you loved. Then grow from your answer. That is perfect parenting. I love that. Ask yourself what you learned and how well you loved, then grow from your answer. That is perfect parenting. Isn't that just perfect? Well, that's it for this week. Thank you for listening to the podcast. I hope that your family's happier because of it. A reminder, if you would like to make your family happier, you can. You can access a huge discount to my 21 Days to a Happier Family online video program. It's $50 off. Normally $97. You get $50 off. Takes it down to $47. You just have to use the code PODCAST at the checkout. It's one word, PODCAST, podcast at the checkout. You get it for less than half price. 21 Days to a Happier Family, the online video program, $50 off, only for podcast listeners. It's the only way that you can get that discount, so take advantage of it as soon as you can. And if you've enjoyed the podcast, you'll find the outline and the resource links in the show notes at happyfamilies.com.au/podcast/16, as in the number 16. I'd love it if you'd share it, link to it, or go to iTunes and subscribe and rate it. It helps other people to find out about the podcast. And for all the work that goes into it, I'd love it if more and more people could enjoy it and make their families happier with it. It's the Happy Families podcast. I'm Dr. Justin Coulson. Thank you for listening. Another podcast in a fortnight. Until then, remember, you don't have to be the best parent in the world. You just have to be the best parent in your children's world.